Hi there, it's Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and I'm going to show you how to make these pantry labels. They are super quick and easy, and you can even use these labels on things outside of the kitchen, and we'll be using our Cricut Joy today to make these. Huge shout out to Cricut for sponsoring this video, and before I dive in, go ahead and take a second, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell, and you won't miss any of the videos that we have coming soon all about organizing. In order to make these labels, you're going to need the Cricut Joy machine. You're going to need the Smart Label Writable Vinyl from Cricut. I love using this in my machine. It's so quick and easy. And then I used two different pens from Cricut. I used this fine point black pen, and then I also used the extra fine point black pen as well. So that's what I use. Now you could choose different color pens. They have several if you would like, but if you want to make those exact labels, that's what you'll need, and that's all there is to it. So there's not a lot of supplies. It's really simple. I'm going to show you in Cricut Design Space how I designed these labels. I will also give you a file with this started for you so you have a starting point, but I want to show you the process because it is really easy, and if you know how to do it, then you'll be able to make labels of any size for any size container so that you can customize them to your needs exactly. So here in Cricut Design Space, I've simply started a new project, and I have a couple labels here showing for us so that it gives me a starting point. But the first thing that I do is I measure the container and I decide what size I want my label to be. For these, I made mine all square, and I have just two sizes. So all of the smaller or more narrow containers get the smaller size, and then the bigger containers get the bigger size. I like more consistency in sizes. It's also easier than having like a different size of label for every different size of container. So I wanted my smaller labels to be a 1.9 inch square. So if you were starting from scratch, the first thing you would do is go ahead and add your square shape. So just hit shapes and then square. And when you hit that square, you'll see that it has put a square on the screen for me. And then I'm gonna go right up here. This is the easiest way if you know exactly what size you want your label, and I'm going to put in 1.9, hit tab, and right here, this little lock icon, that means that it is keeping those proportions constrained. If I wanted to do a rectangle or something like that, I would just hit that unlock and it would allow me to do different dimensions for each side. So this is the exact size of square that I want for my smaller label. And then I'm going to, you see that the operation here is basic cut, and that is good because this is the line that we actually want our label to be cut on. So I also like to go in here and make this a more clear color so that I can get an idea of what the label will look like. Next up, it is time to add the writing to the label. So I'm just going to click text and I'm going to type it in, and we'll start with cereal. And I wanted to do these in all caps. You can do them however you like. All right, so obviously that's pretty big. So I'm just going to size it down, get it kind of close to what I'd like, and then I'm going to choose my font. Now here I have used the Cricut Sans font. And that's already the one that is showing, but I'll show you how to find other fonts. So I click that, and then this is really an important step when you're using the pens for writing. Make sure you change the style over here to the writing style. Now, it'll still work if you have it on the regular style, but if you leave it on that, it's going to do the outlines, like they won't be filled in. So that's the difference. So I personally prefer the writing style. And then you can go up here and you can change your pen color and thickness. I want it on black, so I'm going to leave it there. And then if you want to change your thickness, you can do that here. And it's just going to prompt you to put in that particular pen when it's actually creating the label. Then I'm going to, I want to see what size I used here. I used a 18. So I want to use 18 here. I just type in 18. And then here I made the letters spacing 1.7. When I'm writing, especially with the thicker pen, I like a little bit of space between the letters so that they're easier to read. So that's the spacing that I chose. And then I literally just eyeball it as far as the height goes. And then I want to add in these 3 lines of extra information. Now, again, you don't have to add in all of those. I like them for consistency. I want them all to have that. And then I also like on certain items, I love the ability to put more information. So like on my pasta, I'll put how long I need to boil it, for example. So I don't even have to save the rest of the pasta box or even cut it out or tape it on or anything like that. All right, so then I'm going to go see the font here is Cricut Alphabet. So I'm going to change that to Cricut Alphabet. I'm going to select this one. Next, I make sure it's on writing style, which it is. I'm going to go check on, I've got a 9.5 point font size with a spacing of 1. So I'm going to change this to 9.5 and make sure the spacing is 1. Okay. So that's the spacing about like I want it. Again, it's on writing in black, so that's good. Then I'm going to copy that. I did Command C or Control C on a Mac and then Command or Control V to paste it. And do that one more time because I want 3 lines. Now, sometimes when working with this, I like to go down here and make it just a little bit bigger so it's just easier to work with and see what I'm doing. So there we go. Hold on. There it goes. Okay. So, next, I want to line all 3 of these up. So I'm clicking and dragging, and then I'm clicking off this box because I don't want this box included. And then I'm going to go to Align, and I'm going to align these to the left. Now, again, that box, let's get that out of the grouping. If I can, let's see. Okay, I'm just going to move the box over to the side a little bit. And I think I also want that cereal in the grouping now that I think about it. And you can come over here and if like, for example, I don't want this square in the grouping, so it's a little bit easier to just select here from this side. I'm holding down Shift and clicking so that I can select just the writing without that square. And then I'm going to align one more time to make sure they're all aligned on the left. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to move this cereal up just a tad. I'm just clicking that up arrow on my keyboard. That's easier than using my mouse. And then we want to add these lines right here. So the line is just right here, this line shape. Oops, I accidentally added 3. I just want to add 1 so far. Okay, so I'm going to grab this line and then I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm grabbing that arrow, and holding down Shift is just making it go more evenly so I can get it straight across. Then we're going to place it here. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, of course. So I'm going to try about 1.7 and see what I think that looks like. So I'm going to change this from a cut line to a draw line. And I want it to be with this darker fine point pen. And that has also changed it to a solid line like I want. And I'm pretty happy with that line. So I'm going to just copy it and paste it, and then I'm going to line it up over here with this other line. And I'm going to go over here to the side, and I'm going to line both of these up here using the Align tool. I love this Align tool. It just, you know, there's so many times when lining those up comes in really, really handy. And then for the word Cheerios, I'm going to go ahead and change my pen to the extra fine point because I think this writing looks so much better since it's so small in this smaller point. And then I'm going to change the words here. So you just double click and I'm going to say Honey Nut because this is the type of Cheerios that they are. And then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and make that the extra fine point. Okay, then I'm going to change this one to say Smith's Kitchen. And I'm going to make sure that I have this on the extra fine point again. And yeah, that looks pretty good. I like this label. I think that there is just one more step before we cut, and this one is really important. You want to make sure that you select everything. It's easiest just to click and drag over that one label that you want to select and click this attach right down here. And that will make everything work together. If you forgot to do that, it would like write everything and then it would just cut a square, but it wouldn't be around what you had written. So that really ties everything together. And again, you do the larger label the exact same way. And like I said, I'm going to give you a file that you can use to start with that has both the smaller and the larger label in it, so that if you want to start with that as a template, that's easier. If you wanted to do that, what you would do is you would just simply copy, paste, so Control or Command C, Control or Command V, and then you would need to double click and type in whatever you want. So like if you had sugar instead, that's how you would do that. Always double check whenever you do that, like whenever you change this. I was going to say table sugar. A lot of times these will flip back to the fine point. You want to flip it back to the extra fine. So I just wanted to point that out. And if you wanted to edit more, you'd want to highlight this and make sure it is detached before you edit. And then before you would actually cut it, you would want to make sure that you attach it. And what I'm going to do here, since I don't actually want to cut this one, is I am going to click it. And you have two options. So you could obviously simply go ahead and click this X and it will delete it. Or if you simply want to hide it but leave it on there, you can click that little eyeball and it's just going to disappear and it won't cut it, but it's still, you're saving it there for later in case you want to use it later. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure these are attached. I think this one is. Let's make sure this one is. Oops. Nope, that one wasn't. So we're going to select all that, click attach. And now we're ready for the fun part, and that is cutting. So what you're going to do is click make it. So now comes the really fun part, and I'm going to get to cut it. So I click make it right there. And I have already made sure that my Cricut Joy is connected via Bluetooth. That's important so that you can actually cut. And also I wanted to point out, I did this on my laptop, but you can also use your phone. They have a Design Space app for your phone and it works really well. You can do all the same things. So if you just wanted to use your phone, like if you were in the kitchen and you didn't have a laptop, you could totally just use your phone. So I'm going to select without matte and then click done. And it brings up what they're going to look like. And I am going to make sure that says without matte. It's going to tell me how long it is. So we need 7 1/4 inches. And this little piece that I have left over is that size. Then I'm going to click continue. Then it's showing that it is connected. And then I want to select this one. The Smart Label Writable Paper is what this product is. So I select that. I personally liked giving it more pressure. It worked either way. I just like, that just means that when it's cutting, it gives it slightly more pressure and I find that it comes off even better. So, and also sometimes I cut with my blades, cut a little bit extra time with them when it's really time to change them out. And so that's why I often select more. And then it tells me what to load first. So it's telling me that I need to load this 0.4 inch into the clamp. Now loading is so easy. I just flip this little blue part open. I'll set the blade to the side. I will open the black pin and you just kind of drop it in there. It doesn't really click. You'll see how there's a groove right here. So that means that it's going to be at the perfect height. You close that back and that's all there is to it. Now it is loaded in and it tells me what's coming up as well. And then to load in your actual vinyl, all you do, or your writable paper, all you do is you slide it in there and then it's automatically going to start the rollers and pick it up. Next is always check to make sure that you have enough material before it goes, and then you simply click go and it's going to start writing. Now it's asking me to load the extra fine black pen, so I'm just gonna open that, put the cap back on, and then we'll load the extra fine pen. So just slip it in there, close that, and then click go once it's loaded. All right, now it's telling me to load the fine point blade into the clamp. So I'm just going to take the pin out and I'm going to place this blade in here. Just drop it in and it goes to the right place, and then clamp that and click go. And then once it comes out, you can choose to either rerun it, which there's no need to do that, and just click unload. And now these labels are out, and the thing that I usually do next is I cut them using a paper trimmer. Now, you don't have to do this, but I like it. I feel like it's a very clean cut. So I'm going to cut them here. And then before I use them, what I typically do, especially if I am using the smaller labels, is before I take the actual label off, I take the backing off around the labels. And so it's much easier to see the labels and make sure that I am pulling them up more easily. So this is what it looks like. I also want to point out something to you here, that on this one, I let it write with a thicker marker here on the little descriptions, and this is what it looks like with the thinner one. So you don't have to use both, but I think personally I prefer the look of the thinner marker using the smaller font. Now I want to show you how to apply these, and what I love about these is they're so easy to apply. It's basically like a sticker. You don't need any transfer tape or any weeding or anything. I'm just gonna peel this off. And then what I do after I place the first labels, this one's already on here, I like to just set them beside each other and make sure that I am placing them all at the same height. And then I simply smooth the label on, and that is all there is to it. These labels stand up very well to, like, you can rub them, you can wipe them down. I would not use a damp cloth on the actual writing because that will smear, but you can use a dry cloth, wipe them, you can push on them and really get them level. And that is how easy it is to create and apply these labels. So if you want to make these for yourself, the links to everything that I used in this project is down below for you.